Here in our welding shop, we have lots of options on how to cut steel. For fixed tools, we have a cold saw, an abrasive saw, and a shear. Our more portable tools are a plasma cutter, and a metal cutting bandsaw. While all these are great shop tools, there's times when you need to cut steel in other locations. Although I've cut about 1 million fence posts with a battery-operated Sawzall, when it comes to cutting in the field, the 8-inch Milwaukee saw is a much better choice. 1 million years ago, when I was working as a framing carpenter, we always used Milwaukee tools because they held up the best of any of them. In a world where plastic or lightweight parts seems to dominate the tool business, Milwaukee still makes a good quality product. The first thing that you need to know when you talk about cutting metal with, quote, a skill saw, is that there is a difference between a metal cutting saw and a wood cutting saw. A standard saw cuts at about 5,800 RPMs, which is much too fast for cutting metal. A metal cutting cold saw, with its special blade, tends to run about 3,700 RPMs. When cutting steel, heat buildup in the blade is your big enemy. If you run the blade too fast or do too much work with it in a short period of time, the heat buildup will destroy the tips. We just recently cut a big batch of fence pipe with this saw, and so now it's time to change the blade. Changing the blade on this saw is pretty straightforward. You start by removing the cover, which also serves to collect your chips while you're cutting, so you want to make sure you empty this from time to time. You can loosen the blade with an Allen wrench, but I prefer to use a socket wrench to keep from stripping it out. Now that we've got the blade changed, we can go ahead and put this saw to work. One of the big places that we use this is that when we get a new load of steel dumped on the ground outside, we'll frequently cut it to shorter lengths before we drag it into the building. This saves an awful lot of time and energy dragging heavy steel around just to cut it down later. Of course, where this saw really comes into play is out in the field. On some jobs where we have power available, we can run the saw off of a long extension cord. Another option is to run it off the same generator we're going to use for the welder. As a bonus, we can also run this off of our Blue Eddy power station. Here are some more shots of this saw in action. One thing that I want to point out is that when you're watching our videos, you're going to see tools that are dirty and beaten. That's because these are the tools that we actually use in our shop. You may have noticed that our shop's a bit messy too. That's because this is not a set, this is an actual working welding and sheet metal shop. So what we feel like we have to offer is that this is how things are really done in the real world. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and learned something along the way. If you want to follow along with our many projects, subscribe to our channel and watch some more of our videos. And if you're ever in the area, come and see us in Decatur, Texas.